Now, Chapter 41 story starts with what happened to Centaurus with Chapter 39, I think it was. Not too sure if I remember. But starts with him going into a portal. And that portal was Falscar. Now, I recorded it all, man. All of it. I generally like Falscar, not because of its story, but because it's sort of an element in my story for my character to vanish. You know, and things to change while he's coming back. There's, you know, like he disappeared in the autumn and came back during the winter, and he saw a dragon, and when he returns to Skyrim, they start to return too. So it's time where like things change in Skyrim at the time he gets back, and he's lost in this adventure, and he has to complete it to get back. You know, to find his way back to Skyrim. And this is kind of the whole idea of Missing in Action, the whole name behind it, before I realised that there was actually two characters I could do that were missing in action. And the other one was Cecilia, but not Cecilia, Marulia. I recorded all this, man. It took fucking forever. I've probably got like 60 gigs of recordings in my goddamn folders right now for all this, and I only used like, I cut it down because I did not want to do a full episode or like part 1, part 2 of like Falscar. Like, fudge, no. Fuck that. In the ass. Completely and utterly. It's I generally try to like work Falscar out that it's some Nordic island that was like off the east coast and maybe like a day's sail from Altmore, and that's why it's frozen over. Because there's ancient Nord settlements there, so it could have been like the Nords went there to set up outposts. Then eventually it froze over. Ancient Nords, Nords from Skyrim sailed there to make their own settlements, and eventually Shaw's Heart healed the land and gave it life and blah blah, and this is kind of how the story goes. In my head, I like to believe that since it's like the northern part of it's ice, and there's a rigid mountain blocking off that ice, that this is kind of like an island off from Altmora, where it was once inhabited by Altmorans, and they went extinct when it frosted over. Then the Nords of Skyrim basically went there 700 years ago, started, you know, building life here, but it was too rough, and basically an avatar of Shaw helped them or some shit like that. That's kind of the way I see Falscar, as a sort of distant Nordic island that's a little bit too close to Altmora for its frost to really start to affect Falscar. But I don't really find this part of the story that interesting. It's kind of a catch-up, you know, from the last 2 chapters of Sigund's takeover of Whiterun, and Ragni's dawn sort of, well, this chapter's not out for me yet, but it will be for you guys, for Ancient Blood. It's kind of a catch-up between there and here. So that's kind of what I wanted this one to be. I wanted to go through as quick as I possibly could. And then I want to get to an interesting character, one that's been baking for a few months. The whole idea of this thing was like to kind of, you know, I remember doing the story a long time ago, and Centaurus saw the dragon on the Dragon's Reach wall, and he was like, holy shit, I don't want to see anything like that ever again in my life. Like, I don't want to see anything like that in my life, man. Like, that'd be scary. And then he sees one for the first time, and like, he's like, fear just gripped him. You know, like, he's just a mortal man. He might be an elite soldier, but what's he to a dragon? He's nothing. You know, a strong man reduced, you know, to basically nothing. You know, that's scary. But that's kind of where I wanted to happen. You know, within, I started getting through as July, then winter's arrived and the vampires arrived. The dragons will start to arrive too, making Skyrim a real cesspool of danger. Like it, you know, the Civil War engulfed Skyrim. Dangerous. Vampires now lurking across the winters of Skyrim. Very dangerous. Dragons now flying over the fucking skies of Skyrim. Skyrim is definitely not a safe place anymore. It's a place where you'd want to leave straight away if that shit's happening to you on the spot. But this is kind of where it's going with the story. It's kind of getting into the main part of Skyrim. Like, all these chapters have just been character building and world building. Getting to the main events of the main story of Skyrim. And it's taken me so goddamn long to get here, but I think it's worth it. Because to build a world, to build a story, you need characters and their stories, and you need a lot of world building. And I think I've done a pretty damn good job of it so far when it comes to building up the events of the dragons, of Elderwyn, because he is the main bad guy of the Elder Scrolls V. So that, when we get into that, that's when like the shit really starts. And then the story is officially kicks off. You could say it'd be book 2, or, you know, the final, the main consequence. Now Centaurus has arrived, and he's kind of like, what the fuck, man? Like, I've heard Whiterun's been taken. You know, like, he had the 9th cohort there. They got split, went to Markarth, went to Riften. Riften got taken over, so most of his forces have been killed or surrendered or retreated. And now he's back, and Whiterun's been taken, and when he left, pretty much soon after he left, Riften was taken, because he wasn't there to defend it or help out, and so his forces had no proper leadership and they crumbled. So now they're in a bad spot. They've taken some ground back since Sig Unseen. They've taken back Morthal, and they've taken back Dawnstar, but they're still in some shit, you know. So Whiterun has the centerpiece. The Stormwalkers have the centerpiece of Skyrim, so they can attack from any direction they want. And I decided I'd put him in a fatherly role here, because he did adopt Luca a long time ago, right? So it's about time I start having him actually act like a father. He's off at war all the time, just being here and there, but he took her in because she was on the streets, because he saw himself kind of when he was a 5-year-old kid, that if the Legion didn't take him in, he would have been on the streets, you know, of the Imperial City, basically having to steal or kill or sell himself to some pervert. And that's kind of why he took her in, to get her off the streets, because, you know, it reminded him of himself. And maybe one day Luca will join the Legion. But yeah, he'd be excited to see that the daughter that he took in, and unfortunately he's going to go back to war. But this is kind of the most interesting part for me personally, because it's a character that's been sitting in the backlog for months. You know, I had her fight Brianna, and she lost that fight, and that was a new part of the story. I'd never done that before. And instead of killing her, they sent her to Windhelm, and instead of, you know, Ulfric Stormcloak killing her to demoralise Ulfric, killing his niece and killing the last pretty much younger Tullius, he throws her in the pit, has a fight for her food. That way that he can show that he can even turn the strongest of Imperial soldiers into his pawns, and that he can also, you know, do what he wants. Shows that the Empire isn't as strong as people believe they are. And, you know, the bandits are getting brought in by bounties, and the best way to get rid of them is kind of like having her kill them. That's how she ends her food. She kills them, she gets to eat what they are meant to eat. They kill her, they get freedom. So either way, an Imperial hero gets wasted in some pathetic battle arena, or she cleans out his, you know, scum list of that were going to be executed anyway. But it gets to entertain the people of Windhelm, gives them a laugh, you know, so it's a three-way win, you know, and she gets none of the good shit. She's thrown in there for months, and I think I'm not too sure, I think she was captured at the start of fall, instead of the start of winter, so she spent an entire season in Windhelm, basically being beaten, starved, raped, thrown into the arena, abused, all sorts of shit, just gone through the absolute worst of it. You know, the places that she saw the most were the prison cell, the bloodworks, and of course, that's what it's called, and the arena that she's fighting in. And that was all the time. Doesn't matter if she was tired. You know, if she refused, she didn't get fed. It's as simple as that. She did it because she needed to stay fed. And she had a really, really rough life. Now, the reason why I want to get this done, obviously because I wanted to showcase her, finally, have her reappear in the story. But there was another character I made a long time ago. I was right before my hard drive died and lost all my story and to rebuild it all, and I eventually rebuilt her, and she's an elf called Allura. It's not her actual real name. It's like a backup name, or like a hidden name that she uses. But Allura was an Old Mary soldier that followed Lord Narafan and followed his orders. She was a good soldier. She did what she was told. And when basically, and this is in lore, when the Thalmor took control of Imperial City, they basically executed a lot of people. Like, they took the Imperial family members, like political or military family members, and executed them. And that's because Lord Nefarian was a Daedra worshipper trying to bring back some prophecy of I think, Nemrina or something, called the Plague or some shit like that. I don't remember what it was called, but he was sacrificing the people of Cyrodiil to the Daedra. And since Maruli is a new character, her father was a soldier that stayed behind to help the Emperor retreat, or let him retreat. He was killed, and then his family was killed, and she was hidden away in a drawer by her mother before she was taken and killed with the rest of her siblings. And a Thalmor soldier, or Old Mary soldier, overheard her speak. That Old Mary soldier overheard her cry in the cupboard, because she was a newborn. She was in a dark spot, and she was just crying. And she walked over to the cupboard, opened it up, and saw a baby. But morality kicked in, and she said, well, I'm not taking a baby. It's only a baby. I'm not going to, you know, send her off to prison, could die. But Laura had no idea that her master was going to execute or sacrifice his people. She thought, you know, they're going to use them as hostages to get the Imperials back, you know, to degrade their military. Because if you hold the military's family, they will turn on their emperor to protect the ones they love. But they were murdered in front of her eyes, and the guilt that she had for aiding in this, for helping in this, it broke her. And, you know, she couldn't believe what she saw and what she had helped commit, and she went AWOL shortly after it happened, before the Imperial City was retaken by the Nords and by the Imperials. And she's been on a journey ever since then, travelling Tamriel, you know, staying away from the Thalmor, and she come to Skyrim because she's either trying to find death or sort of redemption. And you know, she's heavily guilty of what she done. You know, the people that she helped kill, and she can't sit with that. And she saw Marilia, because Marilia was that baby that she saw, and they had this weird sixth sense, and she knew who she was because she heard about this warrior, and somehow she felt the need to help again. You know, she saved her life once before by not taking her out of the drawer, and now she felt like she needed to save her life once more. So she needed to keep that baby alive that she thankfully didn't send off to the slaughter. And all that sort of stuff. And yeah, like, she's looking for redemption. I think her best redemption, or her best death, would be to the dragons. Because when the dragons come along, you know, and the Dragonborn calls for aid, Allura will have this as her redemption arc. She will join the Dragonborn to make good on the horrible things that she helped commit, and she will either save Tamriel and redeem her soul, or she'll die honourably in the fight to help save Skyrim and Tamriel. But I hope you guys have enjoyed that. This is kind of the background stuff behind it. Funny enough, right, I'm going to pause this right here. I was blown away because this guy to the left was actually my Centauros back when I started playing Skyrim, even to the 2014. I've got images of it. So this is an NPC from the mod called Skyrim at War, but it's using the male preset 5, male Imperial preset 5, that you do when you're in the race menu. It's using his face, which is literally my Centauros from the past. It's like, and then your old Centauros and new Centauros on the table looking down at the flag together. And it's like looking at a ghost. Or selling a car you loved, then having it drive up to you beside the lights for the new owner many years later. You know, that's what it feels like. It's like, holy shit, there's me with me. And I'm going to show you these images real quick to kind of like, show you. These are images from like 2014 and probably earlier. Now this is him, but obviously some war paints and a shaven head with Sophia. And then there he is right there, but this is kind of the early concept of the contractor. Your contractor armor, I remember there being blood textures, but this is Centauros as a vampire. You know, the whole idea that contractor was born from these early playthroughs with this armor on in Centauros. The idea back then was like his soul was like captured or tainted or some shit like that. And there he is right there with, I want to call the Raven Watch future faction if I ever get to creating them. But this was a long, long time ago. But yeah, 2014, this is what my Skyrim looked like. And there he is right there. It's old Centauros. Can I even like zoom up there? It's the same bloody dude. But I thought that was cool. Especially like I needed to have like a military scene where he was talking some mad shit saying he's going to fight back and beat the rebels. And then old Centauros rocked up and started doing the exact same thing, and I was like, it was like looking at a mirror from an alternate dimension or alternate reality or some shit like that. It was nuts. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little background information. I'm going to start doing these videos separately. And of course, I'm over to like a draft to all the stories, because I've definitely done better with the voice work for 11 Labs. AI has gotten better, and my editing has gotten better, hopefully. And the storytelling has gotten better. I'll definitely do a draft 2 one day. And especially like I play a draft 3 when mods like Sky Oblivion come out, I can definitely tell a bit of backstories of certain characters that belong in Cyrodiil, or even especially Cecilia, since she's in the story of Oblivion's story, or my Oblivion story anyway. So I'll definitely, from now on and in the future, those second drafts, when I'll have outros or background information. But then when I get to like, the second draft, I'll start putting them in a playlist so people can watch that shit. This will just disappear into the background of nothingness on my channel, just another forgotten video. Anyway, I'm out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if you did, and if you didn't, same thing. I like arguments. Anyway, I'm out of here. Catch you later. Peace.